This week, we saw one of the most impressive statements that Obama has had. I don't know if you heard this, but I want to play this because before we go, we're going to go into the fun half as well. And
this wasn't fun. Are you implying this was not fun?
Funner half.
This hat.
I was trying.
All right, but here
I feel like we were doing our best.
Here is what I think is President Obama's probably the most impressive, just rhetorical statement he has had. There may be others that come close, but I think in terms of just how bad things can get. I mean, we know this, right? To have a president who sort of puts the brakes on this type of hysteria, I think is pretty helpful. This is a press conference he had in the Philippines with the president of the Philippines, talking about what we're seeing primarily on the right, but frankly, Chuck Schumer, same crap, which is just beyond the pale. We can talk about that in a moment. But here's President Obama speaking about this sort of growing movement in this country, at least amongst the Republican Party and some wayward Democrats, that we should deny refugees. And remember now, we're only planning to let in 10,000. We've only let in something like 1,700 in 2 years. We're talking about families. We're talking about orphans. I mean, this is
and
really...
families escaping from
Yes,
ISIS.
of course. Yeah. And who have been basically in this process for years, if not months upon months. So here is President Obama. This is from yesterday in the Philippines. It's a good take.
We are not well served when, in response to a terrorist attack, we descend into fear and panic. We don't make good decisions if it's based on hysteria or an exaggeration of risks. When candidates say we wouldn't admit 3-year-old orphans, that's political posturing. When individuals say that we should have a religious test and that only Christians, proven Christians, should be admitted, that's offensive and contrary to American values. I cannot think of a more potent recruitment tool for ISIL than some of the rhetoric that's been coming out of here during the course of this debate. ISIL seeks to exploit the idea that there is a war between Islam and the West. And when you start seeing individuals in positions of responsibility suggesting that Christians are more worthy of protection than Muslims are in a war-torn land, that feeds the ISIL narrative.
So there you have it. I mean,
I did see that, and I would say I think it's great, but also he's still parsing his words. He's still being too careful. There are much more direct ways to say what he's saying. You know what I mean? He's still too calm about this nonsense that is tolerated and indulged in our country.
What would Janine Garofalo as President Garofalo
it's not about
say?
what President Garofalo. What I'm saying is I respect what he said. He still, though, seems that he holds back. You know, the way he chooses his words very carefully in protection of these right-wing nuts and their posturing and their deliberate ignorance. Also, the unsanctioned assassination policy that he oversees and the drone attacks, that is great recruitment also.
That is true.
For ISIS.
That is true.
Trust me, when we declare the caliphate, it's not going to be that soft pedal, Janine. All right, you can relax.
Well, you know
By
what
the way, where's your burk at?
I left it on the R train. Shoot.
That's not a good enough excuse.
I know, look at my hair.
When the fruit of Islam comes at you.
I just had the hijab today. Or the hijab, I'm sorry.
No, but your point about
watching you.
Your point about his policies sort of running contrary to that, I think is true. And we're only, here judging certain rhetoric at a time where this stuff is starting to sort of take flight.
But guess what? This rhetoric has been going on in right-wing regressive radio for years.
Indeed.